All right, so let's start talking about methods. So before I answer this question, what is a method? I looked at some work we did in the past week and came up with the hangman that hopefully most of you have done. All right, so within hangman, one of the things we do is when we hit our mouse pressed, if we've hit the replay button, we say new game. So what is this new game? Is that a piece of Java code that is understood by the game? Well, not on its own, it's not. Okay, so new game actually refers to a method that we wrote ourselves called new game. So if I just type new game bracket bracket, it's going to go looking for a method that I've written called new game and then run all the code that's in that method. So it's going to go down further. I'm looking for new game, and here it is. All right. So notice, just like a lot of other methods, it starts with the words public void. All right. So other methods such as, mouse pressed, public void. Okay. What about setup, public void, and then the name of the method, setup. What else do we got down here? Well, let's see. Public void. Okay, we've seen that one already. Never mind. Public void draw. Public static void main. Okay, so this public void is something we see a lot when we go to start making our own method. Okay, but essentially a method is just a bunch of code that's saved within like a name or a named method, or it's basically a title of the method, I guess, is a good way to describe it. Okay, but let's put that in better words here. So a method is we'll just call it a bunch of code grouped together under a name. Okay. When you want the code to run, you just enter the name of the method. Okay, so an example right from the hangman game would be the new game method, right? So if I go back here somewhere, let's come back up to where we did the new game. So public void new game. Okay, that defines it, but if I actually want to run it, then somewhere else in my code, a little higher up, is new game. Okay, so just like that. So that's my example. Okay, so example would be new game. Okay, and that will runs all the code in new game. All right, so that's what it is. So we're no stranger to methods. In fact, we did methods way back at the beginning of the year when we were all together at school doing the picture of the mountain. And I remember I had you guys do like a front mountain and a back mountain and a command to draw the house and another command to draw the trees. All right, so we're basically separating our program into these separate commands, right? And it just simplifies your code, and then you just call that command and it runs all the code in there. Otherwise, you'd have this one big, huge draw method with all the drawing commands in it, and this was a way to kind of clean it up a bit, organize it a bit better. All right, but that's just one reason why we do methods. There's a lot more about methods that I want to teach you in this lesson that we're doing now. So some examples of methods we've worked with in the course so far. Okay, well, just looking at that p-applet that we were seeing just a few seconds ago, we have like the setup method, right? Or startup, I guess is what it's called. And now I'm doubting myself. Let me just go back and double check. You'd think I would remember. No, it is called setup. I had it right the first time. Okay, so setup is an example of a method. Draw is a method that we use a lot. There's the main method. There's the button clicked method. Okay, so these are all just different methods that are in a p-applet. Now in the console world, main is the only one we've seen so far, but we're going to start with console right now as an example, and how we're going to write methods in that environment as well. All right, so in the first program, we're going to write a console method called greeting that prints the message, hello, how are you? So what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to write this method in BlueJ, and then I'm going to take a screenshot of the code and stick it right into this box. All right, so if you're using a Windows machine, then you can use the snipping tool that we've used at school before. I'm doing this on a Mac, so if we have any Mac users out there, Command-Shift-4 allows you to then draw a box around something, and then that makes an image that you can drop into here. Okay, so when I go to do mine, that's what it is you're going to be seeing me do on my Mac. Okay, but with Windows, it's just the snipping tool to do the same exact thing. All right, so let's go into, I'll close off Hangman, we're done with that. Let's go into this console example that we set up in the last video. All right, so I'm just going to open this up, And notice our method that we have, public static void main, is the only method we have, but there's something in this that will give us a clue as to how to make our own method. So these words public static void, we can then use those to start a new method. So I'm going to come out here past the main method, and I'm going to start another method called public static void. I think it was called say hello, right? And just like any other method, we need the 2 round brackets and then 2 braces. Okay, so whatever goes between these 2 braces is what the say hello method is going to do. All right, so I'm just going to go like c.println hello there, just like that. Okay, now right away we're going to get this problem, guys, and the problem is the use of C. Okay, so it says it cannot find the symbol C, and the problem with that is C was made in the main method. All right, and this is one of the first lessons that you learn about methods is if you make something in one method, it's not necessarily available in the other methods. So C, console C is like that. Now we need to use console C in other methods, so how can we solve that problem? Well, one of the things we can do is we can declare console C outside of all methods at the very top. All right, now we do this in p-applets all the time. Right above the setup is where we declare G buttons and P images and all that stuff, so we can use them in any other method, but we haven't yet done that here. Now in the console world, it's a little bit different. If I'm going to declare a method outside, or sorry, a variable outside of all methods, I have to put the word static in front of it. Okay, and this is like a console thing, not a p-applet thing necessarily. So I'm going to go static console C up here. All right, and then I'm just going to say static means can use anywhere. Okay, it's also called a global variable, aka global variable. Okay, and that kind of makes sense, that name, right? Global means it's everywhere. Okay, so I got to be careful though. I don't want to declare another console C in here. Like if I leave this code like this console C is actually different than this one. All right, so if I take the word console out of here, all right, now it's referring to C, and it's going to come up here and find this console C. Okay, but notice now the error's gone away too. So I can use console C in any of these methods. All right, so that's the method. And then if I want to actually use that method, then up here I'm going to go say hello, and maybe I'll just say that twice just to show you that you can reuse these codes as well, or these methods. All right, so that's my first example. So I'm going to just compile that, and I'm going to just right-click, and I'm just going to run that. Okay, and predictably, we're going to get the message say hello, or hello there, comes up twice, because we run the method twice. All right, so that's the first one. So here, write a console method called greeting. Okay, that prints hello, how are you? Okay, I said hello there. That's close enough. All right, so I'm going to just take a quick shot of this. All right, and then I'm just going to drag it into my note. Okay, so there it is there. I'm just going to stick it in here, and there we go. Okay, so you can do this with the snipping tool as well. Copy and paste it in. Okay, what does calling a method mean? How and where do we call the greeting method? Okay, this is actually not the greeting method. Oh, I guess it is called greeting. I called it say hello. All right, well, close enough. We'll just change this to be say hello, because that's the name of my method now. Okay, so calling a method means basically running, so it means running the code in the method. Okay, that's what that means. Just gotta spell that right. Okay, so that's what calling the method means. You're actually running the code that's in the method. Okay, can call from any other method. Okay, and in this case, we only have one other method, so like main, for example. Okay, so how do we do that? We just type, I'll just go to the next line, so I'll just type say hello. All right, and that's how we actually call the method. Okay, so that's the terminology that I am going to be using, and that's what all programmers say. Going to make a method call or call a method. So you're basically asking the method to do its thing, to run its code. All right, so now we're going to modify this though, because on its own, guys, this isn't a very useful method because it just prints the same thing every time. But what if we wanted to customize it and we wanted to make it so that you could send in a person that we're going to say hello to? All right, so we're going to modify it so that we say hello to a specific person. Maybe while I'm at it, guys, I'll change it to the name greeting as well, because that's what it is here in the notes. So I messed up on that, so I'm going to change that now. All right, so going back to my code here, let's first of all change this to the word greeting instead of say hello, because that's what it was supposed to be called in the first place. Now, as soon as I do that, obviously I'm going to get an error message up here because say hello is no longer defined. So it doesn't know what I mean when I say hello. Now, if I change it to greeting, then of course it's going to work again. So I'll just put one of them in for now. Greeting like that. So we're back to being all good again. All right, but now see these brackets here? I can actually send things in here, some information that I can use within the method. So I'm going to send in a string name. All right, so then whenever I say hello there to somebody, I'm going to go hello there plus name plus an exclamation mark, just like that. Okay, so now my new version of greeting can say hello to somebody specifically. But as soon as I do that, guys, notice I have an error up here because greeting is no longer allowed to be called this way. Okay, because it's expecting a string. And it says required a string, found no arguments. Okay, so any data I put inside here is representing what we call arguments. Okay, so if greeting needs a name, I have to supply, well, not a name technically, it needs any kind of string. Okay, but I'm going to put in like Bob as one of my greetings. I'm going to greet 3 different people. So I'm going to go greeting Bob, I'm going to say greeting to Larry, and I'm going to say greeting to Joe. Okay, so now every time I run this, it's going to be a slightly different message because I'm sending in different data that's being received by this variable name, and then it gets used inside this method. All right, so if I run this again, you can probably predict what we're going to see. So we're going to greet 3 different people. So hello there, Bob, Larry, and Joe. All right, so that's a bit more useful than the first version that we had. All right, so let's take a screenshot of that. Just going to minimize a few things here. There we go, and that's my app that I'm working on. All right, so yeah, let me just get rid of this other screenshot here, and I'll just go into here, and I will now take a shot of this. Okay, so there's my new screenshot. All right, and I guess I shouldn't have minimized my note. Where is it? There we go. Three, two, one. Okay, so I'm going to just copy this into here, and there's the modification. So we've got string name in there instead. Okay, so how does the new version of the method change the way it's called? What else is needed? Okay, so I can sort of answer those 2 questions with one answer, I guess. We now need to supply a string to the method whenever we call it. Okay, so there's an example here of how we do that. So what I want to do is just quickly take a screenshot of how we do that now. Okay, so now in the main method, I'll just take a picture of this whole main method here, and I'll put it right inside here as well. All right, so that's what it looks like now. So before it was just, you know, say hello like this without any arguments. We changed it to greeting, and now it's greeting Bob, Larry, Joe. All right, what is another name given to the variable or variables that receive data into a method? Okay, so there's actually 2 variables at play here, guys, or 2 pieces of data. There's the Bob piece, okay, so that's called an argument. Okay, that's the piece of data that's being sent in. Okay, but we're also receiving string name, okay, and that's called a parameter. Okay, so why don't we get the terminology for both of those in here? Okay, so to answer this question directly, it's called a parameter. Okay, so another name for the variable to receive data, so parameter, okay, so it's declared in the brackets, I guess, as you start the method. Does that make sense? Declared in the brackets as you start the method. Okay, and parameters are sent in. Okay, so hopefully that terminology doesn't throw you off too much. Okay, sorry, that would definitely throw you off. So it's not parameters, it's arguments are sent in. Okay, so the argument is Bob being sent into the parameter called name. Okay, hopefully we got that right now. All right, there's much more to come, guys, but I'm going to stop the video at this point because I don't want to get overwhelmed with one big long video. So we're going to take this one page at a time. So I'm going to stop the video here. When we come back, we're going to look at another kind of method called a non-void method.